Good morning, everyone. Before I introduce Colonel McAleer, I'd like to take time to give a special welcome to his family who's here with him today. His wife Laura is here, his daughter Paige, and his father is here visiting for the weekend, retired Colonel Rob McAleer, United States Marine Corps. On this Memorial Day weekend, it is fitting that the Mission and Wellness team, your Mission and Wellness team, welcome back to Old Stone Church Lieutenant Colonel Pete McAleer. Colonel McAleer is a graduate of Notre Dame University and is a highly decorated career Marine officer who has served our country in a number of strategic locations around the world. He currently serves as Inspector Instructor of 3rd Battalion, 25th Marine Regiment, headquartered here in Brook Park. This unit is made up of slightly less than 1,000 Marines, many from our own community. It is fitting on this Memorial Day weekend that we pause and pay tribute to the 49 young Marines, our young Marines from our community, who were killed in action in the Middle East. Welcome, Colonel.
Good morning. As Gary said, on behalf of the 1,000 or so Marines from 3rd Battalion, 25th Marines, let me just say thank you and happy Memorial Day. But specifically, thank you for the support you all have provided to the unit. Through your donations, your presence, your thoughts and well wishes, we have increased the ties among our own family members through holiday programs, where we have time, particularly in a unit such as this, during these days to celebrate together where we don't often get to spend time with the family. Here you have facilitated that and have brought the families into the unit, which makes the Marines feel a little bit more comfortable when they finally do go overseas that their families are watched over. You have, through your donations, helped us improve our physical fitness program as well by encouraging Marines to get out into the community, exercise more. You may see a few more out there doing the 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, and for those nut jobs that we've got in the unit, the occasional marathon. Your donations helped spur their enthusiasm for that physical fitness, and certainly by your well wishes and prayers and your daily demonstrations of support for the unit, you have made us feel as this is our home. And as Gary said, many of the Marines of the unit are here from the Cleveland area. They are reservists 28 days out of the year, or 28 days out of the month. They wear the cloth of the everyday citizen, and you'll see them on the streets or as gas station attendants, perhaps as cops, firemen, EMTs, store clerks, and only 2 days out of the month, or when they are called to serve for their country, they put on this uniform or one more suited for combat and head overseas. For all of your efforts, thank you very much. I got to confess, I'm a little nervous up here. You could see my legs behind this thing. Look like I'm running a sewing machine. The first reason is, on a day like today, Memorial Day, I feel inadequate to the task to describe why we as a country have to deal with the loss of service members, particularly as they defend our freedoms. Their actions and deeds are so much beyond what any words I could use that, being up here, I feel inadequate, and hopefully I don't fail in trying to communicate the importance of their sacrifice. Secondly, I don't think God's grand plan ever envisioned me speaking from an altar, let alone doing it twice. So I'm hoping today that the God of the New Testament, the God of forgiveness, is watching, and not the God of the Old Testament. Otherwise, I may be smited right before your eyes. But if I do move quickly, I'd recommend you follow and stay as far away from me as possible. I did notice that if lightning comes, there's a fire extinguisher directly behind me. So, if all goes well this weekend, I will finish the weekend pretty badly sunburned. I will probably have eaten my weight in grilled burgers and potato salad at different picnics. I've taken my daughter to Cedar Point and truly enjoyed hearing the news that the Indians won the series against Baltimore, and enjoyed everything that Cleveland and this area has to offer, particularly on a day like today and what we've had for the weather this weekend. This is a special place and something where I would encourage everybody to get outside and do all that this community has to offer. But today and right now, I think it's appropriate to stop and reflect on our service members, and particularly those that have lost their life in defense of the country, and our ideals. So as it said out front, and I was shocked to see my name again on a marquee, I'd like to talk about lives dedicated to service, and particularly service to our country. You know, our country and its cause is unique in the world. We are a standard to treasure and to defend. The U.S. and our founding principles is a bright light in the world, and those who spend their lives nurturing and defending those principles are honored today by your remembrance. Sorry, getting a little emotional here as I'm about to talk about a Marine that I served with. His name was Jose Gutierrez. He was born in Guatemala City during the time of Guatemala's Civil War. At the age of 8, he and his older sister were orphaned when their parents were killed in the Civil War. From the age of 8 until the age of 16, he became the so-called man of the house, where he took it upon himself to look after his older sister as they lived on the streets and bounced from orphanage to orphanage in Guatemala City. During the time of the Civil War, he learned a couple of lessons there. One, that it mattered in some parts of the country, in some parts of his country and most parts of the world, it mattered what religion you were. It mattered what your political affiliation was. It mattered who your parents were. It mattered even what sex you were. And you were treated differently because of that. He heard stories while he was there in the orphanages and rumors on the street about a place to the north, the United States of America, where those things didn't matter. They mattered only because there were different categorizations and definitions of people, but had no bearing on our successes or what you could achieve. Here, you can achieve anything based on your goals, your merit, and your drive, and not be hamstrung by other artificial limitations. Those ideals were set forth almost 240 years ago in the Declaration of Independence and further reinforced in the Constitution of the United States. We believe here that all men are created equal, that we have the inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that in our Constitution is enshrined those different ideals that race, color, creed, gender doesn't matter. You are all equal under the law. We subscribe to a rule of law, and that's what Jose Gutierrez learned. Now, I don't think he understood it in quite the U.S. Government 101 description as I just gave it, but he just knew that this place, this United States of America, was different. So he set out on his own at the age of 16 to make the 1,500 to 2,000 mile journey from Guatemala City to the United States. He did it to take care of his friends and family, his only remaining family, back in Guatemala City. He started out on foot from Central America, heading north. No idea where he was going to end up, but knowing for sure that he was going to get here. He hitched rides in vehicles, in buses, various caravans, and eventually was smuggled across the border in the back of a darkened truck underneath some boxes, and was very quickly captured by INS. As I said, he was 16 years old. He was a minor. He was allowed to stay in the country, where he was fortunately put into a foster family who raised him from the age of 16 on. In that foster family, he became a brother to 32 other foster siblings. and it was his job that he took upon himself to take care of those brothers and sisters as best he could. And having grown up on the streets of Guatemala City, Jose Gutierrez was a scrawny little man, but tough of heart. And when he could scrape a few bucks together, he would send them back to Guatemala City. He would protect his foster sisters and brothers in the mean streets of LA, and always, always serve to try and make the place better. He had the heart of an artist and was often looking on the bright side for everybody. In 2001, he swore an oath, and he said, "I do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter." There was a separate clause in there for his in particular, in which he said, "I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to rules and the Uniform Code of Military Justice." That oath that he took is the same oath that every single uniformed member of the United States takes. They swear before their friends, their family, and to their country that they are dedicated to our rights and ideals. You'll notice the very beginning, "I do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States." Not a king, not the queen, not the president. Our fealty as uniformed service members is to our ideals as Americans. We pledge our service to the Constitution of the United States, to those freedoms that I've already described: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, that all men are created equal, that it's a government by the people, for the people, and of the people. That's what service members defend. That's what they swear their lives to. And every single service member who has ever paid the ultimate price knows going in, as they make that oath, that it could cost them dearly to live up to that. In fact, the Founding Fathers said in the Declaration of Independence that they pledged their lives and their sacred honor to defense of those principles. That holds true today, nearly 240 years later. When these men go overseas, these men and women now in ever-increasing numbers, they are doing it to defend those freedoms and defend our ideals as Americans. That oath stays with them, regardless of whether or not they do the 4-year enlistment, a 6-year reserve enlistment, a 20-year career, a 30-year career, or a matter of years in the service, still to be determined. It sticks with them until the day they die, inbred in them because of our communities, because of our way of life. That oath sticks through and ultimately is what carries you through in combat, knowing that you are defending what's right and just with America. In March of 2003, Lance Corporal Gutierrez, United States Marine, was in the back of a darkened Amtrak, which is a peculiar combat vehicle specific only to the United States Marines. It's an amphibious assault vehicle, armored up kind of like a tank, but without the same armaments. It can swim from ship to shore and move deep inland into the enemy's territory. At about 0600 on the morning of 21 March, Lance Corporal Gutierrez was packed in the back of one of those things. He was in 2nd Platoon Echo Company, 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines, as part of the initial invasion waves into Iraq. Now, as I said, Lance Corporal Gutierrez was a small guy. We had a lot of people to cram into those things, so there's a good chance that he was sitting on somebody's lap, crossing another border. This time, not in pursuit of the freedoms and liberties of America, but in defense of them. At 0600, he crossed the border along with about 80,000 other Marines, and from what I understand, there were other services involved. went forward into combat with the enemy. He picked up a specific mission as a house was providing enemy fires onto his fellow platoon mates. He and a small element were detached over to secure the house, destroy the enemy, and allow the platoon to advance. He did that. They successfully defeated the enemy in that house and allowed the attack to continue. His job was to provide rear security as the element rejoined the unit to continue the push on to the final objective. Unfortunately, as he was withdrawing, he was one lone Marine at that point, racing to catch up with his fellow Marines. A friendly unit closed up on our lines, saw this lone figure running across the battlefield, and thinking he was the enemy, shot and killed him. All right. He was killed by friendly fire, which in most cases you would think was a tragic loss, perhaps a life wasted. Through the error of leadership, through the unfortunate fog of war and confusion, he lost his life where he might have continued on for the 11 years, 2 months, and 4 days since. I would venture to say, though, that it was not wasted, as no life wasted in defense or pursuit of our goals, our freedoms, our liberties is ever wasted. Nobody who loses their life pursuing those goals is ever done in waste. It's just that important to us. A sad note, another sad note on Lance Corporal Gutierrez is that I mentioned he was an illegal alien. When he fought and died for our ideals, he was not yet an American citizen. But in every mannerism and every way that he acted, he was completely American. He valued truly those ideals, those rights, and he dedicated his life in service to our cause. In fact, he spent his life in service to our cause. The oath I mentioned earlier that he swore and that all of us swear is a series of declarative sentences. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States, that I bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter, that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the officers appointed over me. All of those are declarative sentences. The last portion of it, though, is a prayer. It's a request for help. Today, as I finish out this oath of office and hopefully give you something to go forward, I ask your help in doing all of those things that service members pledge to do. I ask that you, too, support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And by that, I mean that you recognize our freedoms, our rights, that you honor those, that you accept those, that you defend those at the ballot box, that you defend them by continuing to gather here in religious freedom, that you may do things that other countries and other societies can't. Here, I've heard men and women both complain about the potholes in Cleveland. In many countries throughout the world, women can't complain about the potholes because they're not allowed to drive. When we step outside, we will know, and people in the community will know, that we gathered to celebrate in a religious way. We will step outside into safety. We will not be tormented for gathering here as Christians. As I look into the audience, I see black and white sitting together. I see colors of the entire spectrum. Here we can do that without fear for our lives. where in other parts of the world that doesn't happen. This, what we have, what we experience, what we enjoy, and what has been defended by those that have gone before is something special. And as I said early on, it's something to remember as we go out. And that's what I ask of you, is that you remember these, keep them close and dear, and protect them in any way that you can. So today I ask for your help to honor the sacrifices of the fallen by being Americans, by understanding what we as Americans value, and that you treasure them in the same way that those who have died treasure them as well. And I ask one other to help us in doing that, and this is the closing line of the oath. So help us God. Thank you very much, and good morning.
Now I invite you to join our hearts in prayer.